Um, there was a program on today that said that we're being ruled by gerontocracy, and the gerontocracy is in charge. So I'm gonna do the gerontocracy and show you. I brought me some notes. I don't have a clicker. So first of all, I had a whole lot to say, and everything just went out the window when I met all of you outside, and especially in listening to the speakers today. And Nabil, brother, you just laid the table out totally for me. And so let me just speak from here, because I always think when the fire alarm goes off, that means it's very important what is being said. And that's right. All of you, all of you. These are some random things, first of all. I don't want to get his name right. James and Aviva have a wonderful talking, you speak into this microphone, this typewriter asks you questions, and it types out a poem. What I got was a chant. This was a chant that sounded like an indigenous chant. It sounded like maybe something my African ancestors would have said. I was just shaken, because that's what's deep inside of me all the time. This thing picked it up. So if you need to find out what's going on inside of you, go check out this typewriter, because it works. And also, I met Adam, a beautiful robot who just, he's got a beautiful blue eye, and I don't know what he's doing, but he's looking around and he's making things. And I just loved him. And thank you very much for even thinking that I could be here with all of you. I don't know if you saw the story about the little boy who got his finger messed up by the robot. And what was really interesting to me was that most of the story, he was playing chess with the robot. The robot was programmed to play chess with him. He made a move, the robot freaked and tried to break his finger. So there's a picture of the little boy and like 2 or 3 adults trying to grab him from the robot who won't let him go. Now the story was about the robot. You know, let's get this rogue robot, this killer robot, blah, blah, blah. And I thought, why wasn't the story about the little boy? Because I'm really interested in what move did this child make that blindsided this robot. Isn't that more interesting than the robot? Because the robot just sees a field. The robot just has program. The robot reacted to something. I want to know what this little boy did. How come nobody asked about this little boy? Who was this little genius or whatever he was who blindsided this robot? And this goes to what I'm trying to say, or about to say, is that your challenge, you, the generation now, and I'm speaking from the gerontocracy, is to say to you that you have to find our common humanity. You have to find how we are alike, not how we're different. That's not going to be easy, because we have created a beautiful AI, and I mean it. But on social media, the algorithms are created for conflict, because that's where our brain reacts the most, because we've had to, as our species, we've had to fight. That's how we survived the Neanderthals, everyone. We were tough. So we're built to fight. And those algorithms make us fight. And so we make categories. And so we're making categories. And so we will continue to make categories. And we will make categories until, as Nabil and everyone else who's been up here this afternoon said, we're going to blow ourselves up. And unfortunately, we're going to take out some other creatures on here who got nothing to do with this madness, and we're going to take this earth out. So this is your challenge. It's not how to put yourselves into categories. It's how do we come together? What do we do? How do we do it? How do we do it? And I'm speaking to you as a woman who calls herself an African American as a woman, and my generation started the categorization. But I also know that all of you in this room, including me, came from a common female ancestor who rose in, we think, Kenya about 80-something thousand years ago. We're all related to her, every last one of us. Every last one of us. So when they have these programs like Who Do You Think You Are, and they find out somebody's related to the Queen, we all related to the Queen. And she's related to us, because we're all the same. And that's the way we've got to move in that direction. One of my favorite sort of people, and I call myself in the parking lot of his mind, is Kurt Gödel, who came up with the uncertainty principle, which says that no system can be both consistent and complete. In other words, I'm saying this, and please correct me because I know some people can, we, in a sense, can't define ourselves because we're using the tools that are of ourselves to do that. But in a way, we must. In a way, we must take this beautiful brain, which a lot of us don't use all of, and find a way to come together for the sake of this planet, for ourselves, and for the other creatures here. And one of the ways that I do it myself is I go to museums. That may sound like really weird, but I really started to understand why I go. And there's a big one not far from here. And what I do there is I go around to see where I'm alike. Who do I look like? Do I look like somebody there? Do I feel like somebody there? And so I met the Nubians, the Kingdom of Kush, and they have beautiful sort of pyramids. They're different from the Egyptian ones that we're generally used to. And they ran Egypt too. And one of those beautiful objects looks like my late father. And so I'm looking all the time for what links me, what makes me like you, not what makes me different from you. What makes me like you? What links me up with you? What makes me understand you? I get in trouble online because people use the word gammon, and I tell them it's racist. And they say, well, how can it be racist? I say, well, I never seen no black person call it gammon, so I have to assume that you mean something that's based on somebody's skin. We got to be conscious. We got to stay conscious of what separates us and not be afraid of that. I have enormous faith in your generation. You're much brighter than mine. You have a lot more experience of the world than mine did, and you understand the challenges. And the challenge is to come together, not to be apart, and to do everything you can to find a way to come together. And to be interested in not so much in taking out that robot, but be interested in a little boy with that incredible brain that we all have. Well, maybe not his, but the capacity, the human capacity. I want to leave you with something that I told you I'm from that school. I'm bringing up paper. A saying that I have. And it was written by a woman by the name of Barbe Nicole Clicquot-Ponsadin. And she was a widow when she became known. And because she is French, she was known as Veuve Clicquot. So if you ever see that on a champagne bottle, and I hope you do someday, drink it, because that's some fine champagne. And what she said was, the world is in perpetual motion, and we must invent the things of tomorrow. One must go before others, be determined and exacting, and let your intelligence, your heart, direct your life. Act with audacity. Don't be afraid to be alone. Don't be afraid to stand out. Don't be afraid if they don't applaud you. Don't be afraid if they push you out the door. Don't be afraid if they tell you you're weird, that you're unusual, that you don't belong here, that I don't get you. What are you doing here? You the wrong color, the wrong gender, the wrong age, the wrong size, the wrong country, the wrong whatever. These are badges of honor. Hold on to those things. Let that happen to you. Experience that. Don't go for the applause. Sometimes if you get the applause, go the other way. Run the other way. Don't go for the prizes. If you get them, as Jewish people say, mazel tov. But it ain't about the prizes. It's about none of them. Nabil also pointed out something that I don't want to forget. We're in a time of pandemic, and if you look back in history, all kinds of stuff happens in pandemics. The Protestant church arose as a result of a pandemic. It turned the world upside down. Maybe Hitler came out of a pandemic. The flu pandemic, maybe so. Let's make progress. Let's make empathy, and I'm going to use a really weird word. Let's make love come out of this pandemic. Thank you all for this. I will never forget you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.